If you're learning French and you're a gamer, you are potentially wasting hours of potential every week. Most people separate their gaming time and their study time. But what if I told you that you can learn a lot of vocabulary just by playing video games? In this video, I'll walk you through the exact method I use to make the most out of my gaming sessions. My name is Marvin, also known as Da. I'm a certified French teacher, a lifelong gamer, and I reached the C1 level in English, Spanish, and Galician with the help of video games along the way, and now my mission is to help you do the same with French. So to show you my method that I use to learn vocabulary while doing my gaming sessions, I'm going to divide the process into 3 parts. First of all, you have the input and note taking. Then you have to translate what you jotted down, and you're going to create flashcards out of it. Now that you have your flashcards, it would be a waste not to use them at all, so you are going to review them and then practice in real life. So for our first step, input and note taking, the first thing you are going to do is to pick a game that you enjoy and preferably that has a lot of language input. Indeed, the enjoyment is very important, that you stay engaged long term, that you keep a motivation level very high. And also, so video games can have a lot of language input, but according to what you use, it's not going to be exactly the same. If you pick RPG, so it's one of the best genres to learn a language. But if you pick Call of Duty, it still has some potential, but it's not going to be as good. Then, now that you have your game, you are going to find in which context you're going to play and to learn. As far as I am concerned, I have 3 different contexts in which I play. The first one is on my computer. So I'm here on my computer where I'm talking right now. The second one is on my PlayStation. So this one would be in the living room. And the third one is in my bed when I'm playing with my Switch. For each context that you have, so you're going to have a different organization that you're going to implement to take your notes. So when I'm on my computer, I have my Quizlet that is ready already. Actually, on my computer, that's the fastest way because everything is here ready to be registered into my vocabulary list. I'm going to show you later. But if I'm on my PlayStation, so as you can see here in the picture, I have my notebook that is always ready, and during the session, I write down the words that I don't understand, that are new to me, and my thinking is not, do I understand this word or not? My thinking is more, would I have been able to use this word myself in a conversation? If the answer is no, I write it down. So I have 2 columns on my textbook. I put target language on the left, and then I put the source language, which is French for me, on the right side. When I'm in my bed, I have a different organization because I have 2 ways of doing it. What I do, or I take a screenshot on my Switch. There is one button to take a screenshot very quickly. Or if I've been too slow to take the screenshot of the word, then I just write it down in a list. So for each context you're going to play, you have to optimize your context to minimize the friction between the moment you decide to play and the moment that you write down your words. Because if you are, let's say, on the PlayStation in my case, you're going to write a word and you're like, oh, where's my pen? No, I have to go to the other room to take my pen. Oh, I'm just too lazy. And or you're gonna be lazy, you're not gonna do it, or it's going to generate frustration. So it's very good if you can have everything ready to use all the time, preferably. Now that you have your list of vocabulary that you want to learn because you discovered it in your gaming sessions, you're going to create flashcards out of it. So first of all, you have to determine which format of flashcard you want to use. It can be paper, then it could be Quizlet. That's what I use personally. I like Quizlet, but if you prefer to use Anki or another one, that's up to you. But you have to pick one platform or one format you want to use for your flashcards. Then, actually, like the words you wrote down, you have at some point to translate them. You could also use French definitions if you want, but as far as I'm concerned, I think it's easier to use translation. And there are two approaches about translation. You can do it in-game while you're playing, or you can do it later. Well, the thing is, if you do it in-game, you have to pause your game and maybe look for it on the computer or on your phone or whatever. By the way, if you use a dictionary, please use word reference or reverse or something viable, but don't use Google Translate. Google Translate is very bad for isolated words. But let's say you find a word during your gaming session and you look for it in word reference and then you write it down directly in your notebook. That's one way to do it. The problem is it slows down the game, but you still have the context very fresh while you're writing it down. It can be of some help for later. And the other way to do it is you just write down the words and you're going to translate it later. Like you see your word in your notebook when you're going to do the flashcards and you translate it at this moment later. The advantage of this method is that it's faster. You can keep on playing. If you are in the middle of an epic fight, you don't have to pause your game for too long. But the main inconvenience is that you are likely to forget the context in which you saw the word. It happened to me recently. I worked with a Portuguese word, acérrimo, and I just wasn't sure in what context I saw it. I tried to translate it. I had several options. I wasn't sure which one was correct for me. So I wish I had translated it in the moment. Sometimes what I do, I strike a balance between both and I write down the word. I just write on the source language column, I write a supposition. Okay, from the context, I think that what it means, and I'm going to check it later. That's one way to remain between both. Now you have to create your flashcards as well. And actually, I like to create your flashcards. So what you do if you're on Quizlet, you put your target language on one side and you put the translation on the other side. That's the easiest way to do it. But even though I have one tip to give you, to optimize how you organize your list. What I do is I differentiate the nature of the word according to how I write it. Let me explain. If it's a noun, you should put the article. Un, une. Un chien, une forêt. This way you know it's a noun. And also you have the genre, of the word. Because it can be confusing, especially for English people. It's not easy to know when it's masculine or feminine. So it should be written down in your flashcard by writing this article. Use un, une, because if you use le, la, the problem is if it starts with a vowel, you're going to have an L apostrophe. It's not going to be helpful. So un, une. Another thing, if it's an adjective, I just put nothing. I just leave the adjective alone. Beau, grand, petit. I know it's an adjective. And if it's a verb, well, in French it's quite obvious because you have three endings, like er, ir, re. But for my English column, I put the to in front of it. To do, to make. But I'm sure that the verb is not a noun. There can be some confusion sometimes. So here are my small tips to better create your flashcards. And actually the advantages of using such method, there are two of them, I can tell you. First of all, you create your own list. You create your own list, and this means that you know how you created it and you remember in which context you discovered each word. For example, for me in Galician, when I was playing Pokemon in Galician, I have a few words like burraco, and like this burraco, I knew it was, in English it would be a hole, but I remember it was from the tunnel attack of my Nidoqueen. So when she used tunnel, she would create a hole, burraco. And I remember from this context, and I have more examples like this. So because you saw it in your own experiences, you're going to remember better your words because you created yourself from your gaming experiences. I say gaming, but it could be with music or films or anything, series. Having a context as a starting point is very helpful. And another one I realized is that actually gives a huge boost of motivation. Because I'll be honest with you, after my exam of Galician, it was in June, which I passed. But well, after this, I kind of felt a bit tired. I wanted to relax a little bit from learning languages, even though I want to learn Portuguese and Japanese. And recently, I optimized my process that I'm sharing with you right now. And I realized that just by having all the process ready to go and very easy to implement, that made me more motivated to start learning languages again. So having a clear process is actually a game changer if you want to stay motivated on the long run. Finally, now that you have practiced a lot of words, you learn a lot of new vocabulary, something that is very key to remember them is to practice them. You have to put them into real practice, into authentic conversations. You have several options to do so. One is to look for opportunities around you. It could be for meetups. Myself, in my city in Spain, I organize a meetup in which Spanish people can come and practice the French with me and other natives. So you might have this around your area. Check it out. And it could be a language exchange, but you have to put this into real practice. And obviously, you can also get the help of the private teacher. The private teacher is going to help you in different ways. First of all, he can give you a feedback if you did all the things right. So what happened a few times, I wrote down a few words and I realized by speaking with natives that actually what I wrote down was not exactly correct or it was not used in the right context. So if you can make sure with a private teacher that everything you have written down is correct and you can use it in the right context, it's gonna be a big help. Also, having a private teacher, like paying for the class and committing into a learning process with someone, it keeps you accountable because you have to do the work and then you have to present your work in front of someone. And this is a big help to stay committed along the weeks. And finally, also a teacher is going to be able to extend further from what you learned and to extend it to more vocabulary, more expressions, and it's gonna help you to reach the next level. And so being a French teacher myself, I can give you several options to come and practice your French with me. So first of all, you have the Twitch channel. So every Tuesday and Thursday from 7 to 9, you can find me live on Twitch and you can use the chat to come and practice with me. Could be on one way. And another way would be to take private classes with me. So right now I'm developing a methodology that puts your gaming sessions into the core of your learning. And so the idea is for you to practice with video games, and when we meet, you can tell me about what you learned, you can ask me about your questions, also about your if you have questions about grammar, because everything I told you is more about vocabulary, but if you want to clear your doubts about vocabulary or grammar, you can do this during our lessons. And in addition to that, we can also extend these conversations to another level, because I know you're not learning French just to be able to play video games, you're learning French for another objective. So we adapt to this adjective. If you want to travel, if that's for family, if that's for an exam, I can adapt to this and extend the conversation for you to reach your objectives. If you are interested, you can find all the links in the description below. And in any case, I thank you for watching this video. I hope you'll find some inspiration to implement it into your language learning. So if you liked it, like, subscribe, share it with a gamer friend, and have fun in your gaming and learning. See you!